Let me, if I could, maybe transition us a little bit. At the last town hall, we talked about the Montana mindset. We talked about it being the big sky country. We talked about it being wild and unapologetic. Talked about it being brash and unyielding and unforgiving. We also talked about Montana, where the men are men and the women are too. You know, I bought these cowboy boots when I was in college. So it's about a couple, 2-3 years ago. And when I put them on this morning and I was coming to work, I thought, I think I'm growing a corn on each of my pinky toes as I walk with each step. Ironically, Galen Bussey had said to me, Phil, this is how I dress every day. But weirdly, it's starting to feel comfortable, even though my toes are like this. You know, so what we talked about in terms of the Montana mindset was that if you were going to be a bear, you need to be a grizzly. You see the banners everywhere. And the question that we left with you is, what are your grizzly bear expectations for yourself? So I thought I'd take a few minutes and I go, well, what are the attributes of a grizzly bear? So I looked into it, and let me explain. Number one, grizzly bears never say die. In 1928, there were only 7 of them. Today, there are 55,000 grizzly bears. Number two, grizzly bears have huge growth potential. Did you know that when grizzly bears are born, that they only weigh about 1 pound, 1.12 pounds? Did you know that at full maturation, they can get up to 1,500 pounds? They can get up to 10 feet high. They can get 5 feet high even when they're on all fours. That their claws are 2 to 4 inches. And they got a big hump, you know, they got a big hump. For guys, that's important for us because having big traps has always been big, right? Because that's part of the full flex. So many similarities between grizzly bears and leasing people, don't you think? Not the hump part. You know, the other thing about grizzly bears is that they're fast and they are ready to pounce at every moment. You know, I looked at some of the similarities between leasing people and grizzly bears. And did you know, like sales managers and apprentice salespeople, that they're in 5 to 7 months of hibernation? That's like an 82. Mothers may see their cubs in later years, but both avoid each other by the elevators, meaning that they fall away from each other. It's just it's a natural thing. The litter size is between 1 and 4 cubs, averaging twins or triplets. Those are kind of like juniors. They eat anything. Normally, they're omnivores, which means that they eat anything. They eat carcasses. They eat each other. Once they get into the business, they never leave. Once they become a grizzly, they never leave. The truth of the matter is, alive or dead, they're going to kill it. That's the same thing with leasing guys, and that's the same thing with grizzlies. Lastly, there's 2 things that I would say. And these are why we have these town halls. It's not to only talk about Montana mindset and talk about grizzlies. I got to tell you, though, that video is amazing. It is bone-crushing, flesh-tearing. I really wanted to play it. But, you know, I hope that when you leave the town hall, that after you hear stories of people that have done well, people that continue to do well, that you would be encouraged to be your best self. Yeah? I mean, we know that this job is a marathon. We know that there are no overnight successes. But what that I would leave with you is don't cut yourself short, you know? Be your best self. And then lastly, before Art comes up, I would just say that if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. Let's not leave any deals on the table, either for this month, November, or December. Thank you very much.